So officially, I would like to welcome everyone to our first Bookit webinar in a long time, where we are talking about partner connection, booking and mapping. First thing I want to do is introduce my colleague who you've already heard speak. You've heard me speak as well. So I'll pass quickly over to Alita to introduce herself.
Hey guys, I'm Alita. I've been at Bookit for a few months now. I've met several of you, including Emily and Doreen. So super excited to be working closely with you while we roll out the new version of the Tours and Activities API, and super excited to work with you guys.
Excellent. And I think everyone knows me. I'm Chris. I'm the training manager, but everyone does know me. In terms of today, we will be recording this session, and the session will be sent, the recording will be sent to everyone who's registered, whether they have turned up or not. And those of you who are in the meeting now, feel free to share this webinar with anyone in the organisation, including stakeholders, as you see fit. For today, in terms of questions, if you could place your questions in the Q&A section. Whilst the webinar is going on, Alita will be looking at the Q&A, and some of the quick questions may be addressed immediately, but some of the questions will be left at the end if we feel they will be of benefit to everyone. So what is our agenda for today? Well, I guess the big reason is why. Why have we called this webinar? What's going on with all of these changes to do with partner connections? And we'll go straight into the benefits after that, because there's a reason we're doing this. It's going to be beneficial to everyone concerned. When we go through some of the changes, I'll be really focusing on two sides. I'll be doing the booking management from a staff perspective, and then we'll also look at the online viewpoint, the digital presence, which is going to be quite similar, but it's important you are across everything. Then we'll clean up with some end slides to say, basically, what do you need to do? What do we need to do? What do we need to do as a team to get everything going? So I started with why are we doing this? And this has always been my favorite slide now that I've found it. It's all about why on earth have we been trying to fit a square peg into a round hole in the past? And what we've been doing in the past with ResD and Live-In, we've been really relying on the rates that they set up in their program to fit into Bookit's model. And Bookit's model has always been around, you've got an adult price, you've got a child price, you can have family prices and things like that. But the ability to do open-ended customized questions has always been our pain point. So what we're going to do moving forward is we're going to flip the coin, and when a booking is made from the very onset, the booking is talking to the operator's program, so that there's going to be no headaches to do with customized rates. And then once a booking has been made, it will drop into the Bookit portal. That's the why. But of course, again, you know me, I'm going to get into far more nitty-gritty on this. Who benefits? Well, there are three parties involved with every transaction, and if we're doing our job right, all three parties should be benefiting from this. So firstly, the operator's going to benefit because what they've put into their program is going to come across to Bookit. End of story. No longer are there arguments about, oh, why can't I show the price of a Segway? Why can't I have a double versus a twin share? Whatever the operator does set up will feed into Bookit now, which means the guest is going to get a far more attractive experience, that when the guest is booking online or you are booking on the guest's behalf, everything's transparent. They know what they're booking. There's no hidden fees. There's no you have to pay this when you get there, plus the experience of being able to book extras. So, of course, we don't want you to miss out. The operator's going to benefit, so's the guest. Of course you will. Hopefully the headache disappears that you're thinking, oh, I can't get the rates to work for what the guest is asking. Like from the guest perspective, you're going to see everything. Everything is going to be absolutely transparent. So that's the benefits. How does it work? What I want to touch on is what programs we are talking about, which programs are supported by this new connection. For a start, any operator who uses Tour Manager, and there is a handful in New Zealand who use Tour Manager, they will continue to be supported via a direct connection with Bookit. Your operators who use the program Fair Harbour, they will continue to feed through to Bookit on the current standards and protocols, which means they will feed through and their rates do need to fit into ours. However, on the newer side, any operator who uses a program that feeds via Live-In, and I'm showing all of the programs on the screen, all of these programs will now feed into Bookit via this brand new upgraded protocol via Live-In. I will address a couple of them individually, in particular IBIS and ResPax. But what's really exciting from this screen is we do have new programs which now feed in, i.e. Ventrata and AAT Kings. Now, being able to feed Live-In, we have actually been doing this for the last month or two, maybe 3 by now, thanks to the hard work of Alita and other people in our team. What we are working on the moment is ResD. So all of these programs now feed through. Although it's not showing on the screen, Bookit Advanced and Bookit Direct clients continue to feed directly into Bookit as expected. Now, keeping things transparent and upfront, now that we have moved over Live-In from version 1, what we call version 1 to the upgraded version 2, there are 3 programs that are no longer supported, and this is out of our control because the Live-In version 1 has been switched off. Unfortunately, we can no longer connect with Booking Boss, ProCharter, or RTBS. So if there are any operators out there using those programs, you can reach out to Bookit support and we will be recommending you set those operators up on request. So before I go on to the next slide, I've actually got a couple of polls. So I'm going to run our first poll. And I'm sharing with you a poll, and I'll ask you to answer. The question is, now that customized rates are able to be mapped, are there additional operators that you would like to connect via ResD or via Live-In? So have a little think about that. And for the booking center staff, if you wouldn't mind just answering yes or no to that, just to give us a little bit of feedback. I was scared then. I think everyone was being shy or already bored with my mundane voice. Okay, so it's interesting because we do have very different markets throughout the areas we work in, and we've actually got a 50% split at the moment. That's not a bad thing. That could mean that the customized rates are working perfectly and you're happy with your operators. So I'll share the results. I'm not sure how this actually shows. Unfortunately, we've got a few people who couldn't make it to the webinar, and we've only got 2 people who did vote, so it was a 50-50 split. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. How do we do this? What is it all about? So all the slides moving forward for the internal view are what you are going to see after you have logged into your staff console. So when you do an activity search, i.e. you click on the tour buttons, that doesn't change. However, when you get results, you are now going to find that there are 2 distinct buttons, Book Now and Check Availability. Book Now is your standard activity approach where you're working with Bookit Advanced, Bookit Direct, Fair Harbour and Tour Manager clients. It's what you have been using pretty much up to this day. But check availability, when you see that icon, it just means that you are now going to be searching and booking a RESD or live-in operator who has this beautiful new upgraded functionality. And when you click on check availability, you actually get a pop-up overlay. It's quite interesting, this overlay. What it's telling you is you are actually now searching directly through the operator's booking system. If they use RESD, you're actually booking directly via their RESD console now. And when you finish the process, it's going to drop into Bookit. Now, these overlays will actually depend on the operator's requirements. The first overlay will always ask you to select the date. And in the past, we have been restricted to 90 days, or the operator must have availability. Basically now, if the operator has availability live, you will be able to access that even up to 2 years in advance. So the first step will be to select the date. Then their booking system will run you through a series of questions, i.e., with what I'm booking now, there's only one tour running, and that's at 11 a.m. But imagine you've got 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m. You will have all of your occurrences showing. And this is the exciting part. This is where you get your rates showing, and the rates are totally customized. Mine might be a little bit boring. I've just got the good old adult concession, child and family, but you can imagine things like if you are booking a kayak company, it will say things like single kayak, double kayak, triple kayak. You can hire bikes. You can find that you are booking a tour with accommodation. So a snorkeler versus a diver, there's so many ideas now. These rates come directly from their booking system, and you can select. This is brand new. The operator now has the ability to sell extras. So this operator actually gets the ability to sell a t-shirt now, which is bookable via your centre. So the questions are feeding directly, and the final pop-up screen will always be the booking questions. Now, there's always been feedback about why are the booking questions repetitive. I'm going to go through that in a second. What I just wanted to show was all of the questions are sequential, and once you have answered all of those questions, you are going to get a summary screen. So the summary here, I know what I've booked. I know what the cost is, no hidden charges. However, you can click backwards if you wish to make any changes. But once you are happy, it will then drop into your Bookit dashboard as expected. Shopping cart, sorry, the Bookit shopping cart as expected. The major difference is when it drops into this shopping cart, everything is transparent. However, nothing is editable. Because this information's feeding directly into their booking system, this is a record, which means if you need to make changes, you actually need to clear your shopping cart and go back to the operator's program to redo the booking. So let's talk about these booking questions, which have been a little bit of a cause of concern in the past. When you are booking through the interface with the operator's booking system, it's going to ask for booking questions. They'll generally be asking for the master profile name of the booking. And if you are booking for 5 people, their booking system may ask you for the names of each people. This information that you're answering is dropping directly into their booking system, i.e. RESD, etc. When that drops into the shopping cart in Bookit, as I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, this is just a record. This is just a summary to tell you you've actually answered all the booking questions, and all of this information about the client details are going to drop directly into the operator's console. But when you then say check out and it asks you for contact details, whether it is a new guest or an existing guest, you're being asked to do it again because you are now setting up the profile for your purposes at the Bookit end. So there is a very strong argument, and I do accept that it can be a little bit annoying at times, but it is extremely important that the information drops into the operator's console, into their booking system, plus you need to have a record of that as well. I just noticed a question which I won't leave to the end. Do we have to add to the cart to drop into the console? Let me just go backwards for that one, Kim. So on this one here, where you've got the two options, add to cart and check out now, it does follow the normal parameters that check out now means this is all the guest wants. Please go to the next stage and check out. Add to cart really means that you need to save it in the shopping cart, but you wish to continue selling more product to the guests. So for it to drop into your console, yes, you have to go to the shopping cart. For it to drop into the operator's console, yes, you need to go to the shopping cart because what you're doing is confirming a booking. So I had to answer it that way, Kim, because I wasn't quite sure which console you meant. But yes, you need to get it into the shopping cart. And in fact, it does not go to the operator until, drum roll, you receive a confirmed itinerary. Once a confirmed itinerary has been achieved, an email has gone to the operator and it has dropped into their system with a reference number. And I just want you to have a look at this itinerary here. It's got an icon to say RESD. You know that it's dropped into their RESD system. Now, I've been saying upgraded API and everything. Really, the term is RESD Dynamic. It's a nice, sexy name that tells you that we are using the most up-to-date protocol. So here we can see it's dropped into the RESD console. That reference number is actually a RESD reference number. So when you are talking to the operator about this booking, please always refer to the Bookit, sorry, the RESD reference number. It just makes them a little bit easier to find. The biggest change you'll notice here is underneath persons, it says custom, because again, we're not trying to pigeonhole their rates into our rates. The rates can be anything. However, if you hover over that custom, you will get a little pop-up screen to tell you for this itinerary, you actually booked an adult at $150. You bought a t-shirt at $50. There's your $200. And similarly, when an itinerary does go to the guest, the itinerary looks pretty much identical to what you're used to. However, if we focus in on the information about the tour, what you'll notice is that the rates or the booking, etc., is an exact carbon copy of what you did during the bookings process. I've been really focusing on the internal approach of if a staff member is doing the booking for a guest via phone, email, or face-to-face, realistically, the online presence is going to be exactly the same. Now, the screen you're looking at, this is the most simple booking gadget I've got. So your website could look vastly different to this, but when a guest does go online to your website, they will search the activities as per normal, but when they click on Book Now, they're going to get exactly the same scenario. They are going to get an overlay that will, well, we'll talk about styling in a moment, but they will get an overlay where they're pretty much going to be going through exactly the same questions. They're answering questions directly via the operator's interface, and it will drop into your Bookit dashboard exactly the same as an online booking. So a little bit of a just touching on a couple of things as well. And I call this not a problem because let's go through 3 of the major headaches we have had over the past year or so trying to get rates to fix. And it's all about customized rates. Customized rates are not a headache anymore. Whatever the operator puts in their booking system, it's going to transfer across. Accommodation options. Suddenly now you can have activity providers offering 2 or 3 day tours where they say to the guest, for your overnight stay, do you want a standard or do you want twin share? Do you want a single supplement? Do you want double or twin? Suddenly all these accommodation options we've never been able to support in the past, not a problem. And additional fees. You have certain scenarios where the activity provider may have to charge additional fees for a landing fee into a national park. Again, they have been a little bit of an issue in the past. Not a problem now. So behind the scenes, Alita and the team. Okay, I've just noticed another question. I'll answer that straight away. Yes, everything at your end is on New Zealand time and New Zealand calendar, because of course all of your operators are based in New Zealand. Bookit is New Zealand. You know, of course, with my accent, I'm one of those annoying Australians over here. But no, everything in your console is on New Zealand time and it is on New Zealand date. Thanks, Emily. So behind the scenes, what Alita and the team are working extremely hard on is they do need to migrate all of our existing operators that use RESD over to the new dynamic rates. And when they do that, they actually have to set up the operator as a brand new operator, and they also in the same process make the original operator listing disconnected and inactive so that you have no chance of booking them in the future accidentally. However, you still have historical information for looking at past booking management, etc. So when our team are doing that, importing the new operators, we've also introduced a naming convention that those original listings are going to be denoted as do not use -V1 the name of the operator, so that if you are searching past bookings or even searching an operator and you see do not use V1 Chris Tours, that just tells you it's an operator who has been migrated over to this exciting new functionality, but there is another operator name called Chris Tours that you should be working with. The new operator will automatically be making use of the new functionality. And in terms of new operators, which again, I'll talk a little bit later in another slide, now is the time to be connecting new operators, which leads me that I'm ready for another poll. So here's my next poll. Interesting one. When was the last time you logged into your RESD marketplace to see if there are any new operators in your area? Within the last 6 months? More than 6 months? And I'm sorry, what? Can I get access to this? Oh, I like the first answer. That makes me happy. Not that anyone else can see it. I'll tell you. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Fair call. Yes, it's very annoying when someone's reading a book and they give all those responses and they don't share. So let's share it. So 66% of us have gone in the last 6 months. Impressive. And someone has said, I'm sorry, what? How do I get access to this? That's not the fault on you. That really falls to me and the training team that have we told you about this. So the next slide, you actually have access to your RESD marketplace. And what it allows you to do, you are able to view the operators in your area region that you are able to connect. You are able to see who is already connected, who has tried to connect but something's gone wrong, and who we've just missed. The other thing about ResD is that your marker plate will assist you with the big rule placed on us by ResD that the operators must send you negotiated rates and they must always mark as full payment to agent for the connection to work. But if you have access to this marketplace, you will be able to view that information you want. If you don't have access, like you answered the question, what is this all about? Please either reach out to Bookit support if you want access, or just, if you don't mind, just pop it in the Q&A now saying, I don't know what this is all about, the marketplace, and I will actually personally contact you myself to make sure you have access and to walk you through what is required. But it's quite exciting that all of you actually have access to your ResD marketplace. In terms of living, if you have an operator that you find out is using a booking system like Bookio or IBIS, we can connect to IBIS via ResD. What the operator needs to do is they need to complete what's called the Bookit Supplier Connection Request Form. Now, this screenshot I've taken is directly from the help guides. So you will find that connection request form in the help guides. You can ask Alita or myself or the Bookit support team for that form. The reason we prefer you to get it from the online help is because if the form has been upgraded, you need to get the most important form. And once the operator has completed the form, Livin will be in touch with the operator and they arrange the connection between their booking system, i.e. IBIS, Custom Link, Bookio, and Livin, and they therefore make it available for you guys to book. Once the connection is ready, Livin will let you or us know, and then we can advise the operator and we can get the ball rolling. Help and support. There are help guides. There is a help guide for partners like yourself on how to make activity bookings. You will notice, hopefully in the last 6 months, that the help guides have been reskinned with a brand new look. And what I've also done is I've also put in alerts to let you know if the help guides have been updated. Very handy that you can look at and say, oops, I better do some reading because it looks like some changes have been made. So for yourself as Bookit partners, there's a help guide on how do you make an activity booking. How do you make sure that someone using Livin, ResD or Fair Harbor is connected? Equally as important for Bookit Direct clients is if they use one of the programs, you can actually give them, and they can access this too, the help guide so that they can get the ball rolling at their end. So with the help guides, we've got one more poll. Here it is. When was the last time you or your staff took advantage of our complimentary fundamentals training? Within the last 12 months, 1 to 3 years? No idea you offered this. And the last one, Emily, this one's for you. You're still in the onboarding phase, so you may not even be aware of this. So I'll just ask everyone to answer this. Promise it's my last poll. Maybe. I think we're just waiting on one more. Don't be shy. You're allowed to be honest. Woohoo. So I'm sharing the results. 50% between 1 to 3 years, 25% in the last 12 months, and 25% are still in the onboarding phase. And all the others of us, we know what it's like when you go through onboarding. So the people who did 1 to 3 years, what I'd recommend you do is just remember the fact that we do offer complimentary fundamentals training, which means if you have new staff members or you require a refresher, you can take yourself back to the onboarding phase and receive an online reservations training session recorded for your staff. Plus, there is a test environment. There is a test environment. At any time, you or your staff can use the login page to your Bookit dashboard. And if you use the username Access All and the password Bookit !6, you are in a test environment where you can play around to your heart's content. You cannot make any damage. Now, Alita and I are still working with Resdi to get a test account set up in this console for our purposes. So we're hoping soon that we can get this new functionality into the test console as well. Let's talk online again. For those of you who have an Impart Media site, hosted site, the updates that we've been talking about today will be automatically applied to your website. That's not just functionality, that's also styling that pop-up interface to match the styling of your website. Now, I don't think we've got anyone actually present, but for people who do have a third-party website, if you do have a website set up with someone other than Bookit, you do need to request that they style your gadgets to reflect the changes, and that technical information is required. On either side of the coin, whether you use our website, whether you've got Impart Media website, whether you've got a hosted engine, or whether you've got a total third party, if you're not sure, reach out either to Impart Media or reach out to Bookit support. Of course, we will help you and we will answer your questions. Next step, let's start winding this up now. I'm talking way too much, I feel now. Bookit will map your current Resdi direction operators to the new API. But we ask you to proactively work and encourage your operators. In particular, if you have been dealing with Resdi operators in the past where there has always been blocked because of customized rates, this is where we ask you to support us, that when we talk to them to say that customized rates are not an issue anymore, we need you to also proactively encourage those operators to work with us. The more product they get in, the more you can book, and more importantly, from their point of view, the bookings are dropping in as expected. Make sure your online digital presence is reflected and stylized accordingly. Check connections. Make sure that when the connections are done, double check and deactivate any operators you do not wish to book anymore, i.e. it might be a membership agreement and you might turn around and say that, yeah, I don't actually want to work with that operator anymore. Kim, I've just seen your question there. I'll have a little chat with you directly on that. More than happy to arrange that for you. And connect new operators. Again, if you've got any new operators out there, let's work together getting these operators on board. Great customer experience. You're making more bookings. You're making money. We're happy. Happy as Larry. I guess that tells me I've got to stop talking now. So we're going to open up to questions. And I must say, those questions that have been asked so far, absolutely fantastic. So we do have people coming in from all different areas at the moment. I know we've got Ruapeu, we've got Christchurch, we've got Akaroa, we've got Waitomo. So it's great to see people coming in. If you're asking questions and you still want to ask more, please do. But let's just open it to questions, have a little bit of a chin wag. Now, there were a few questions that came in when we've had similar webinars in other areas, and I feel I've addressed them, but I just want to summarize a couple of things. Can you get a list of operators that you would like to connect? That one will be all about just making sure you get access to the RESD marketplace. And when you're in the RESD marketplace, you can say, I want to search for all of the operators in Ruapehu, and it will tell you, and it will also say, guess what? This one's already connected versus, oh, this one hasn't been, but the operator's already given permission.
Chris, one thing I just wanted to mention to everyone else, everyone as well, is just on the note of when we are transferring the V1 over to V2. So when we amend the name to do not use V1, we're actually cutting off, as Chris mentioned earlier, that connection. So it's really important to note that Chris mentioned that the bookings will still be there for past and future bookings in your console. So they're still active bookings for any future bookings, but it's really important to note that for cancellations for those future bookings, the cancellation will be emailed as per normal to the operator, notifying them of the cancellation. But just wanted to note that because we've cut the API connection off to that operator for V1, and it's moved over to V2, the V1 cancellation will not drop into the reservation system of the operator. So just as an extra precaution, what we would advise to do and what we recommend that you do is just contact the operator just to make sure that they've received that operator, just as a precautionary measure.
Thanks, Alita. And see, this is why I have a leader who just knows so much about this connection. Make sure that I'm on the case, I'm not missing anything out, and I'm not telling any lies.
Cool. Did we have any other questions there?
Okay, well, I'm going to move to the next slide, but it doesn't mean that we're saying goodbye. As much as I say thanks for joining us, this slide is just really to say that we've covered everything. The webinar is going to come to a close, but let's reiterate that the recording will be sent to everyone. Please give us at least 24 hours to get the recording off to you. Again, feel free to share it with anyone, stakeholders, etc. But the webinar is really orientated towards the booking side of it. So I wouldn't pass it on to operators, just get operators to talk to us and we can always alleviate their concerns. But Alita and I will stay on this webinar for another 5 minutes in case you want to ask some questions that you didn't want to ask in front of everyone. More than happy to unmute you if you want to verbalize the questions. Couple of outstanding actions I've taken note. So I know that, Kim, I will be in contact with you and you will hear from me today sometime. And in terms of the RESD marketplace, that was a question from you, Emily, but because you are still in onboarding, that will be covered during your operator administration training tomorrow.
Yeah. Chris, we've just got another question that's come through. What support is available during weekends, public holidays, please? That's their busiest time.
Yeah, I will address that. It's not so much relevant to today's webinar, but with weekend support, we do have staff members working on weekends and public holidays, but the support is email only. Now, with the email support, we can get back to you by phone, but the phones do not answer on a weekend. We also ask that when it is your busiest time, if you do need to contact our support team on a weekend, please type urgent in the subject line in capital letters, because we do have so many emails coming through and unfortunately quite a bit of spam as well, that by typing urgent, you do get the attention of the person straight away. But we do have staff who work from early in the morning, not early as in 6 a.m., but around the 9 or 9:30 mark, I think it is, and they are working quite late in the day for weekends and New Zealand-wide public holidays. If it is a regional public holiday and someone like Kat, who's based in Hamilton, will not be working, there are other staff who are working normal hours to assist with phones, chat and emails. But in terms of weekend support, any support, it is a case that if you do like to discuss it, you can discuss it with support, or you can discuss it with your account manager if you do have any concerns. Also, whilst we're talking about emails and support, I know that during onboarding, a lot of people have had my direct email address. I also ask from a company's perspective, if you do require support on any level, please always use the support email address. Please do not send it like an email support request to me directly, as my training schedule may disappoint you if I can't get back to you, and it's never deliberate, but I do worry that I might miss an email, so please always go through the support channel, and apologies if I have missed any email replies.
Okay, did anybody else have any questions?
On that note, I've just gone through my emails, and Bridget, I apologise. I just realised I did miss an email from you, so I promise you I will get back to you today, read that recording.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions, we might wrap it up there. Please reach out if you do have any questions. And as Chris said, if you needed the additional training, please reach out to him and Emily. Look forward to sort of going through the RESD marketplace, etc., with you tomorrow.
Okay, I'll stay on for another 5 minutes in case anyone does want to hang around and discuss anything.